This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's hour number 4 of Live Bet Sunday right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, and we do have a tremendous hour coming up for you as we've got this Rockets versus Warriors game that's going down right now, so we've got some fun there, and then we're in 30 minutes going to be talking a little bit of baseball. Munaf Manji, he does great work over at pregame.com. He's going to be joining me. We're going to be talking a little bit about what he's liking on the MLB front for Monday as we're starting to wind down with a few of these games for this Sunday, but man, for an Easter Sunday, for every holiday that we are celebrating, as there's a lot of holidays that are happening on this 420, we've got a lot that is happening, and you just saw in terms of the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators game, that game go finalist. For the Maple Leafs, they won that one by a count of 6-2, and getting started here in the next few seconds, you've got the Golden Knights versus the Minnesota Wild, and it has been one-way traffic, by the way, in terms of this one. We'll see what is going to be happening once we get in-game, but that said, with the Vegas Golden Knights now up to being between about a minus 245 to a minus 255 favorite. I know that when we had Jonathan Davis aboard, who does amazing work with our hockey coverage, he joined me about 2 or so hours ago. He was looking at the Golden Knights in regulation. He was able to grab that at minus 125, and with the money line moving the way that it is right now, I have to think that that has moved as well, because if you're taking a look at the puck line right now that puck line is right around even money to plus 105 on the Vegas Golden Knights as well. So certainly the number moving quite a bit here before the puck drops, so we'll see what is happening on that front. Personally, I do not have a play on this game, and I'm not too much of a hockey guy personally, but I do think that Jonathan Davis, him taking a look at the Golden Knights in regulation, I think that that's a good way to be able to go there. And how about if we do take a look at what we're getting in baseball as well, as we've got ourselves a fun one between the San Diego Padres and the Houston Astros currently going down. You're in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Astros are currently trailing by a count of 3-2, and by the way, if you're looking at the other game, thought that we would get more scoring in terms of Nationals versus Colorado Rockies game. Currently, that is a count of 2-1, so we have not been able to get a lot there. Bottom of the 7th inning, with it being a Brad Lord versus Antonio Senzatella pitching matchup, and both of these guys have been able to come through, and Coors Field just not producing a lot of runs today, it appears. So we've got ourselves a little bit of action there, but that said, with regards to the Astros, they've got a man on first base, Jason Adam. He's been very good as a reliever over the last few seasons in general, currently on for the San Diego Padres, so we shall see what is going to be happening on that front. But in terms of this Warriors versus Rockets game, I did alert you guys just before we were able to get on our guest, Brian Fonseca, who does a tremendous job over at Action Network. Big thanks to him for joining me in the last segment. I was able to extract a little bit of money line value in terms of Golden State Warriors, because with the Warriors, they were, prior to a tip in this game, right around about even money, plus 105. Being able to get north of a plus 165 on this number, I thought was really good value. Was able to pull the trigger when they got down 8 early, and that's part of what I look to do with regards to betting in terms of the NBA playoffs. You're going to be able to get an opportunity in a lot of cases to be able to find a little bit more value. Steph Curry was a little bit cold from 3. I feel like he's going to be able to pick it up here in the second quarter and beyond, and we've already seen the, shall we say, market number be able to rebound a little bit more, because right now, if you're taking a look at that money line, you're finding it more around about a plus 120, plus 125 with regards to Warriors, which I still think is fine. Like, I still think that the Warriors are going to be able to pull out this game. We have just reached the end of the first quarter, and boy, was this a slog. It is currently 21-18 with the Rockets in the lead, as you just have seen the Golden State Warriors, for lack of a better term, come out a little bit cold. To the credit of Steph Curry, even though the 3 ball isn't working, he was able to drive in, he was able to find a few baskets at the cup, so he was able to do a nice job on that front. But for the Warriors, just 2 of 10 from 3-point range to begin the game. Obviously, Rockets, one of the better defensive teams that you're going to find in the NBA, but they also went 1 of 6 from 3-point range as well. If I had to play anything right now, I wouldn't want to pull the trigger here quite yet, but perhaps a live over. Right now, I'm seeing that at a 197.5. I don't think that that's the world's worst look, just because I do have a belief that the Warriors are going to be able to find their sea legs, be able to give you a little bit more from the outside. You do have, obviously, a Rockets team that does sometimes leave a little bit of something to be desired from 3-point range themselves, but I do think that both of these teams going to be able to pick that up just a little bit more, and I do think that this game does have the propensity to be close enough to where you are going to be getting these teams like trading baskets towards the back half of the game. Maybe you find when these teams down 4 or 5 points with a minute remaining, you get a few late fouls to be able to help you out on that front as well. So I would be looking at a live over right now, but I want to see if I'm able to get a bit more there, because right now at a 197.5, with the way that first quarter went, I do want to see this sink down just a little bit more, because when it comes to live betting in terms of NBA, I view it much like the stock market, a normal stock market, not what we've seen over the last few weeks where it's been just down, 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 down. No, we're talking about something normal here where you have your ebbs and your flows. Sometimes you're able to find a stock that's a little bit higher. Sometimes you're able to find it when it's a little bit lower, when things are very regular. You try to be able to find, all right, this has perhaps went a little bit too far. Now I'm looking to buy in. You're looking to be able to find those proper buy spots with regards to live betting in terms of this. And I do think that we are going to be able to find a proper buy spot with regards to this total. I do think that the Warriors are going to be able to right the ship a little bit more, but I feel like we might see a little bit more of a slog here in the second quarter as well. I feel like it's a little bit of a feeling out process for the Golden State Warriors as well, because this is a Warriors bunch that they have been through these wars before. They want to see what they've got in terms of the Houston Rockets, and let's call it what it is. The entire identity of the Golden State Warriors has always been these bonsai charges that they're able to put forth in the third quarter. So I do think that if we could see this shrink down just a little bit more, you get a few cold minutes to begin the second quarter, that's when you're able to find really that buy point. And we've got a nice buy point in terms of this NBA challenge, as we've got ourselves a whole bunch of handicappers making great picks. It's a little bit of a VSiN Killer Sports NBA Playoff Challenge. 15 of the sharpest minds in terms of handicapping the NBA. They are going at it between VSiN and Killer Sports. They're going to be making 38 picks apiece from the start of the playoffs all the way through the NBA Finals. That's a total of 570 total picks. They're all available to VSiN Pro subscribers. Picks are locked in 1 hour before the tip of the first game of the day, so you'll have fresh insights to guide your bets every step of the postseason. Right now, you're able to get VSiN all access to everything that we do all the way through August 1st for just $59. That's about 50% off the normal price. You don't want to miss out on this playoff edge. Head on over to VSiN.com/subscribe to sign up today. That is VSIN.com/subscribe, as it is a live bet Sunday right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Greg Oops Peterson holding it down here today. And just when I said that, you know what, we want to see if this total is going down a little bit further, of course, both teams trade back-to-back buckets to begin the second quarter. So we're at 23-20. So we'll be very much monitoring that. So hopefully we're able to pull out some good value on that front. But we do have ourselves a fun one that is going to be going down there. And with regards to the baseball front as well, you did have the Colorado Rockies threatening with a pair of men on base. They were unable to generate anything in the bottom of the seventh inning. So now we go to the top of the eighth, 2-1. The Rockies are currently in the lead over the Washington Nationals. And you've got into the game for the Colorado Rockies, Zachary Ognos. If you're wondering who Zachary Ognos is, quite frankly, I am too. And I pride myself on knowing a lot of these prospects. I pride myself on knowing a lot about baseball in general. This is his first career appearance. A young 24-year-old from the great state of Virginia. He's coming into this game because they had Kyle Freeland only pitch 2 innings. This would be a spot where if you're looking at a live over or a live total, anything like that, a live money line on the Washington Nationals, this is where you want to strike right here. Having a guy making his MLB debut in Coors Field on a day where I'll call it what it is. The ball hasn't been flying as much in Coors Field today as it has in the past, but still, this is a spot where you're able to find the Washington Nationals at plus 270 live on the money line. They've had quite a few hits all day long. Haven't necessarily been able to generate a ton from them. This would be a spot where I'd be taking a look at some plus money, trying to be able to extract a little bit of value there. Or if you think that perhaps the Nationals score a run or two and the Colorado Rockies are able to counter, you're able to get a over at a minus 135 right now on over 4.5. You'd probably want to try to extract a little bit more value. Maybe you want to take a look at a live over a 5.5 if you're able to go alternate there. But still, I do think that this is a good time to be able to strike, because I just don't see the Washington Nationals getting held down these next 2 innings by a Colorado Rockies bullpen that, yeah, they're not good. They were dead last in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA last season. They really don't have anyone reliable in that entire bullpen. Like Seth Halverson and Victor Vodnik are your main relievers for this team. I just have a tough time thinking that they're going to be able to get this one done without them giving up at least 1 run, if not a little bit more. So I do think that this is a good time to be able to strike. And as a matter of fact, just as I was talking it through, you're now up to a plus 350 on that Washington Nationals money line. Recognize that for the Washington Nationals, it is a lineup that is dealing with a little bit of strife. They're dealing with a little bit of injury. Currently, they've got C.J. Abrams, who is not in the fold for them. But when you're going up against a guy in Zachary Ognos, who, again, Zachary Agnos, not necessarily a household name. It's not even a name known in my own household. That's not a place where you want to be if you're the Colorado Rockies. And plus, you've also got Nathaniel Lowe, who's gone 3 for 3 today, currently up at the plate. So I do think that you got a little bit of something there. And if you're taking a look at the NHL game just getting started between the Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild, they just had the puck drop, and this did close with the Golden Knights pretty much across the board, north of a -250. Now, I think that's very hard to extract value in terms of live betting hockey. I know Scott Seidenberg does an absolutely tremendous job of it. I'm not going to pretend like I am the Mona Lisa Vito of hockey betting or anything like that. My one triumph is when you had the Washington Capitals and the Golden Knights going at it in the Stanley Cup playoffs like 7 years ago or something like that. I remember getting plus $2 on the Capitals to be able to win the Cup after they fell down 1-0 in that series. That turned out to be a very nice cash, and I retired on top. But we shall see what is going to be happening with regards to that front. And in terms of this early part of the second quarter between the Warriors and the Rockets, currently you're staring at 23-20 as you've got another coach's challenge that is happening in this one. So that has caused for a little bit of slowdown. I think what is going to be very intriguing to see what we get in the second quarter. Can the Warriors get a little bit more of their game? Because this was a game that was very much slowed down in the first quarter. The Warriors, they just weren't able to sink a lot of those threes. And for that matter, the Houston Rockets weren't either. That's a big reason why I'm trying to eye up the most amount of value that I'm able to get on a live over, because right now at last check I was seeing this live total at about a 197.5. I think that we could probably fall down a little bit further. As a matter of fact, we're down to a 196.5. If we could take down just a few more points, that's something I'm going to be willing to fire in on, and we shall see if we're able to get that after the break as well, because during the break we're going to be taking a break as well. We've got ourselves a great game between the Warriors and the Rockets, and we've got some Monday baseball to preview as well. That's coming up next right here on Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're back here on Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, and right now we've got a good one going down between the Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. Warriors have come back to warrior their way into the lead by a count of 25-23, and this has been a little bit of a low-scoring game. We have seen the total just continue to plummet downward further and further. Right now, we're back up to a 199.5. We've seen both teams be able to exchange the buckets, but 28-26 is where we stand. 8:02 remaining in the second quarter, so right now I'm eyeing that up. I'm thinking the number that I'm looking for right now is 194.5. If we can see a few dead possessions, you get down to about a 194.5. That's really the point where I do want to be buying in on this one, because I do think that we are going to be seeing a little bit of rebounding in the, or a little bit of a rebound in the three-point shooting that we've seen thus far, as Braden Podziemski has actually been the main guy for the Golden State Warriors. He's 2 of 4 from three-point range. The rest of the team is shooting about 2 of 11 from three-point range, so that's been a bit less than savory for them. And for the Houston Rockets, currently 2 of 10 from three-point range. And recall a little bit earlier on, I was able to find a plus 165 on the money line of the Golden State Warriors a little bit before. That's right now in relatively solid shape, so feeling good about this game thus far, and that's the sort of thing that you're able to do with regards to taking a look at the NBA. Even if it's just a little bit of like a, shall we say, short burst. Like for the Rockets, when I bet on the Warriors on the money line, the Rockets were up by a count of, I think it was 13-5. They were up 8 points. I knew, all right, the Warriors, they just have gotten a few shots that haven't been able to fall for them. This should be able to reverse course a little bit earlier on. We should see a little bit of regression here, and instead of taking a pregame like even money, minus 105, even a plus 105, being able to put yourself on the side of a plus 160 plus, that I think is just very big, and that's what you're able to do a lot of with regards to live betting the NBA, that I just don't think that you get as many value opportunities in terms of these other sports as well. So that's something that I do like to be able to do on this front, and something else that we're going to be looking to do as well is take a look at a little bit of baseball. Currently have the 9th inning going down between the San Diego Padres and the Houston Astros, and the Padres, they are hoping to be able to hold down the fort here against the Houston Astros, as right now for the Astros, you're able to find them plus 390 on the money line. Don't know if I would necessarily want to take a shot on something like that, just because with the San Diego Padres, this is not one of these bullpens where you've got a bunch of like gas can guys or anything like that. Like there are some of these bullpens, looking at you, the Colorado Rockies, where I feel very good betting against them. Against a guy like a Robert Suarez, for example, who's coming in for the San Diego Padres, a little bit less so. And if you missed it a bit before, because we do have the Padres Jays, who are going to be in action on Monday. I do like them on the money line in that game against the Detroit Tigers. Just cannot get behind Kadir Montero and that bunch for Detroit. But that said, we're going to talk a little bit more baseball with Munaf Manji in a few minutes. But do want to give you guys this game, as we do have a game between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Houston Astros. Took a little bit longer for this game to get up on the board. So you do have both teams that are playing on Sunday Night Baseball, playing on Monday. But Hunter Brown is going to be going for Houston. Kevin Gausman is going for Toronto, and the Blue Jays, who are going to be the road team. So Houston does not need to travel. They're playing on Sunday Night Baseball, and they're playing on Monday, but they don't have to leave the city of Houston. They are between about a minus 134 to a minus 140 favorite, plus 118 to plus 125. That number on Toronto with a total of 7.5 shaded down to the under. And I'm actually going to be willing to bet on both Sunday Night Baseball teams on Monday, especially with the fact that Astros, they don't need to travel at all in this spot. And for the Toronto Blue Jays, I still have a little bit of trepidation and strife with regards to trusting in this team. Kevin Gausman, his strikeout numbers have just not been there since the beginning of the 2024 season. Now, he's been able to do a good job of being able to induce some soft contact to begin the season. And for Kevin Gausman, throughout his Toronto Blue Jays tenure, he's been a guy that's been a little bit unlucky in general. So maybe the baseball gods here in the first few starts of the season have done him a solid, because he's got a 2.49 ERA compared to a 3.85 fielding opponent. He has given up about a home run and a half per 9 innings. He's up to 4 bombs given up in 25 and a third innings throughout his 4 starts, but has been able to really keep those to solo shots, as he's only given up 7 earned runs across those 4 home runs. But that said, with regards to the Houston Astros, I do think that the offense going to be able to find it a little bit more. It's been tough for guys not named Jose Altuve along with Isaac Paredes to begin the season. I do think that these guys like Yandy Diaz and company, who had some rock solid seasons last season, they are going to be able to find it. They're going to be able to give you a bit of a better effort. And Yordan Alvarez currently give you a 310 on base with not a lot of power. That's been a bit of an issue. Cam Smith towards the bottom of the lineup, who's a young gun guy. He had a little bit of a rough first 2.5 weeks of the season. He seems to be finding it himself, and he seems to be rounding into form as well. So a little bit of an intriguing scenario here, but I do think that with the Toronto Blue Jays, they're just going to have a little bit of a tough time denying them. And I do think that with Houston being a bust out with the bats, that's going to cause for a little bit more of an over as well. And with Hunter Brown, just with him pitching in Houston, he's actually been worse when he's been at home rather than on the road. I'm not sure how, and I'm not sure why, but he gives up like a full walk less per 9 innings when he's away from home rather than at home. Typically, when it comes to pitchers and command issues, typically you find a lot of these guys that their command really goes on them on the road because it's unfamiliar surroundings, what have you. But I mean, there must be just an aura of calm that comes from him being on the road or something like that. It's been pretty unexplainable, but he's been really good with his command on the road, not so much at home. So this is a scenario where I do take a look at this total over, and I do like the Astros on the money line. What else I do like is just taking a look at a little bit of something different. And over at First Bet, they're able to do that for you because we've got so many sports that are going down right now. You've got the NBA and the NHL playoffs. You've got a full slate of baseball every single day. But you've also got the Triple Crown for horse racing getting started here in the next few weeks. At First Bet, they're your place for it all. You're able to get hundreds of races on your laptop and on your smartphone every single day from all the top tracks out there in the United States and around the world. Over at firstbet.com, that's the number one, STBet. And when you go to firstbet.com, utilize the promo code of VSIN200. That's VSIN200. That provides a 20% rebate for your first 60 days up to $200. That's over at the number one, STBet.com. As it is Live Bet Sunday right here on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network. And we are currently at a little bit of a break in terms of the Warriors and the Houston Rockets game, but very much keeping my eyes on this, as right now you've seen this total come back to about a 198.5. And for the Golden State Warriors, right now they have been able to get up 36-26 right now with 6 minutes and change remaining. Now you don't want to be feeling too comfortable about this lead because it is the NBA, and in the NBA every single team makes a run, and typically when you bet on a side on the NBA, they're probably going to be finding themselves up or down 10 points, typically both in the same half. And for the Houston Rockets, they at one point were up 8 points earlier on in the first half. Now they're down 10 points in this first half. So that very much is proving my theory to be very, very correct. And you just see a whole bunch of swings in general. And I do think that the three-point shooting is going to be looking a little bit better here moving forward. Again, you've got between these two teams a pair of teams that are shooting 6 of 25 from three-point range thus far. For the Rockets, other than Sagoon, who's been able to give you 10 points, you just haven't been able to get anything else from anyone. You had Fred VanVleet be able to chip in their 5 points, but Jalen Green is off to a relatively rough start to this game. He's only been able to give you 2 points. Amin Thomas, he's only been able to give you 2 as well. And for the Golden State Warriors, it's been all about Himmy. Jimmy Butler, 10 points, 4 assists, 2 steals. They always call him Playoff Jimmy for a reason, and right now he is certainly living up to that name. I also have to throw this out here as well. Pretty hilarious because, in my opinion, when you take a look at the NBA, the plus-minus stats could sometimes be just an hilarious outlier. Buddy Hield has played 9 minutes off the bench for the Golden State Warriors. It's a plus-minus of a plus 17, even though he's only scored 2 points and has not made any threes. So I always love to be able to see that. Some good, clean family fun right there. But right now for the Golden State Warriors, they've come out. They've been able to take a little bit of control of this game, even though it's very much defense-oriented. Like with the Golden State Warriors, you're typically thinking of them being the Splash Brothers and everything like that. And with Jonathan Kuminga not in the fold, you'd think that this team would be a little bit more vulnerable down low. But thus far, they have been very stout on the defensive side of things. So you do love to be able to see that. And right now, they've been able to come out and they've been able to give a good performance. So we shall see what is going to be happening on that front. How about if we do add a little bit more baseball as well? Because you do have yourself a spot here that I think is going to be able to provide a little bit of value for the Monday card, as you do have the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets swing battle, as you got Tyler McGill on the bump for the Metropolitans. Aaron Nola, he hopes to be super for the Philadelphia Phillies, and with the Phillies, they're right around about even money, minus 115 to minus 120. That number on the Mets, and the total is 8, and I just feel like Aaron Nola is not a guy that should be viewed as an ace by any stretch of the imagination. He, since the beginning of the 2021 campaign, has north of a 3.90 ERA with about a home run and a half per 9 innings. Now, if you look at the advanced numbers in terms of the fielding independent, things like that, he has been a little bit unlucky in that time span, but it's a very long sample size now, and for Aaron Nola, just not feeling great about him, especially when he leaves home. When he's on the road, typically his ERA rises up by nearly a full point rather than when he is at home. And for Tyler McGill, swing and miss stuff has been solid throughout his career. He does have some command issues, that's very much known, and for the New York Mets, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up the top 5 bullpen in terms of ERA that they've got right now, but for the Mets, they're longer guys like Jose Buto, Max Chronic, have been able to do a nice job of being able to help them out, and I do think that for the Mets, you're going to find this offense be able to rebound just a little bit at home. Bad conditions begin the season in New York have led to this offense being a little bit more stagnant and a little bit more vanilla than what you'd expect, but I do think that with Mark Vientos, he's going to be able to rise up after he has started out this season, hitting below the mid-dose line of 200. Francisco Lindor had a rough first few weeks of the season. He's getting things back online. Pete Alonso has been one of your better hitters in all baseball. And for the Philadelphia Phillies, likes of Kyle Schwarber and company, have been able to step up big time for the team. Even Armando Sosa is giving you some production towards the bottom of the fold. So looking at the Mets on the money line, set my total minus 124. And I do like this total over as well. Did set my total just a little bit over 8. And the baseball chatter, that's going to be continuing with Munaf Manji. Does great work over at pregame.com. And he joins me next right here on Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're back here on Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, and it's great to be joined by this man on the Progressive Guest Line as we actually go out to the city of Houston. Munaf Manji, he does great work over at pregame.com. I know that he is very much covering this Warriors versus Rockets game and so much more. And Munaf, first things first, always great to be able to get you aboard. Thank you so much.
It's been a while since you and I got together, Greg, so it's great to be on with you talking some basketball, but, you know, we're true baseball junkies. We'll get to that later, but glad to be here with you.
Glad to be on with you as well. And right now, Munaf, we are seeing a live total in this Warriors versus Rockets game hovering between 190.5 to 191.5. Matter of fact, I just saw this dip to a 190.5. I pulled the trigger on the over personally, and want to get your thoughts here because I know that you were mentioning to me off air that you took a shot on the first half under, which that's going to be coming through very, very easily. So good call there. But how do you take a look at the rest of this game and going into the second half between the Warriors and the Rockets?
Yeah, I think that, you know, you and I were talking maybe a little bit of feel it out process for both teams here in the first game. I mean, the Rockets starters at least haven't played maybe about a week or so since they locked up the number 2 seed in the regular season. And it's also the first playoff game, you know, for a lot of these guys on the Rockets side, guys like Amen Thompson, Şengün, Jalen Green. So maybe there's a little bit of jitters there. They get out of the way in the second half, or sorry, in the first half, and then they make their adjustments in the halftime, and then they come out hopefully knocking down some shots and better offense because scoring 34 points right now going into the half. That's not going to get it done against this Warriors team. And we've seen historically how great the Warriors third quarters are. And I think they'll start making some shots here as well. So expect both offenses to pick up here in the second half, Greg. So maybe if you want to get on the live over or play that second half to go over between these two squads in game one.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's shook down now to 189.5, so you're getting even better value now. And you mentioned it with the Houston Rockets right now, 34 points in the first half, about a minute remaining. You'd expect that more from the Houston Cougars rather than the Houston Rockets. So that's been pretty funny to take a look at, to say the least. But I know you're also a guy that does a tremendous job with regards to baseball. And as a matter of fact, we've got ourselves the Houston Astros who are going to be in action on Monday as well. I was talking about this game just a little bit before, and I do want to get your thoughts just with regards to this Astros team in general, because they are going to be playing host to the Toronto Blue Jays, about minus 140 or so favorites, coming off of a loss on Sunday Night Baseball to a very good San Diego Padres team.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest struggle for the Astros thus far this season, Greg, has been the offense, right? And I think when you take a look at the player statistical leaders, you see Kyle Tucker's name at the top of the leaderboard. You see Alex Bregman's name at the top of the leaderboard in their respective leagues and overall the MLB. And when you lose two big bats like that in the offseason, it's going to be a very difficult transition in trying to replace those type of players. So I think that's the struggle that the Astros are going through right now, right? I mean, your main offensive guys are going to be obviously Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Jeremy Pena, supposed to be that next guy that took over for Carlos Correa a few seasons ago. So they're just kind of going through it right now. Fortunately for the Astros, on Monday, I believe Hunter Brown does get the start for them. So he's been in really good form to start the season, going at least 6 innings in all 4 starts here. But, you can pitch as well as you want. At the end of the day, you still got to score some runs if you're the Astros. So hopefully it's just a funk right now for them. They're able to snap out of it and start hitting the baseball. But I think that's just been the biggest downfall right now, early in the season here, Greg, with the Houston Astros.
Totally agree with you. It's been a little bit strange to watch this Astros team not really be able to put bat to ball, because the starting pitching especially has been fine. Framber Valdez maybe wasn't like an ace of all aces here tonight, but he pitched well enough to be able to get the win in my opinion, but just didn't get a lot of offensive production around him. So totally agree. As we've got Munaf Manji, does great work over at pregame.com, joining me right here on VSiN's Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And this is a game that I was talking about just a few minutes ago, and you're on the same side as me on this one, so absolutely love it. We've got ourselves the Phillies and the Mets. Right now, the Phillies are right around about even money. Mets are between minus 110, minus 120 with a total of 8. And I just talked about the fact that I just don't really love the form that Aaron Nola's in. He's always struggled a little bit on the road, and want to get your thoughts here, because I think that you're picking up what I'm putting down in terms of the Mets money line.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad we're on the same side here, and it's just been a struggle, like you mentioned, for Aaron Nola to start the season here for the Philadelphia Phillies. Very Aaron Nola-like, but he's made 4 starts as far this season for this Phillies team. They've lost all 4 of those starts, and they've lost all 4 of those starts by 2 or more runs. And 3 of those 4 games that he pitched for the Phillies, he got a combined 2 runs of support. And again, like we talked about with the Astros, the Phillies are struggling at least to get runs early and against starting pitching. A lot of their wins this season early came against the bullpen there. So I'm going to continue fading Aaron Nola, and I believe that, his historical numbers on paper look pretty good against the Mets. But if you take a look at his last 3 to 4 career starts against the Mets there, Greg, it hasn't been very pretty for Aaron Nola against those Mets. He's actually lost for the last 5 starts head-to-head against the New York Mets there. Did make 2 starts last season, did split 1-1. His last start was back in September 13th of the 2024 season, 4 1/3, 6 earned runs he gave up in that game. And you look on the other side, Tyler McGill has been in really good form. It's been the complete opposite for this Mets rotation, and they've needed him. So the only concern I do have with Tyler McGill, Greg, is that if he's able to keep the walks down, because he has issued 3 walks in 2 starts this season. Did come off a great outing against the Minnesota Twins in Minnesota, but I think that you take a look at Tyler McGill's history against the Phillies. I think there's a great spot here for the Mets to keep rolling and just really, like you mentioned, continue fading Aaron Nola here.
Yep, I totally agree with you. And the Mets have actually had one of the best bullpens in terms of ERA to begin the season as well. With the conditions getting a little bit better out there in New York, do think that those bats are going to start to heat up a little bit as well. And we'll see if the bats can continue to stay hot for the Atlanta Braves. It's been a rough start to the season for them, but you mentioned it. They ironically enough went up against the Minnesota Twins, and they were able to get a nice sweep of that series. Now they're going to look to try to do the same against the St. Louis Cardinals, as it's going to be Eric Fetty against Spencer Schwellenbach on Monday. And right now, Braves sizable minus 180 favorites. And I know you're looking at the Braves, but you're looking a little bit more at the run line rather than that chalky money line.
Yeah, we could get some plus odds here on the run line here for the Braves. I know a lot of people, maybe the sharp bettors, quote unquote, don't like laying the 1.5 with the home team because you're not guaranteed all the nine at bats. But I know Schwellenbach is coming off a rough start against the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto, but him at pitching at home, he's been fantastic, even dating back to last season. In this season alone, I know it's a very small sample with Greg, but 2 starts he's made in Atlanta, 14 innings pitched there. He's only allowed 1 earned run, 15 strikeouts to 2 walks here. So, a lot of people were high on him coming into the season. I think this is a great bounce back spot for him. And one of the rules that I have, or I guess one of the commandments when it comes to betting for me, is betting against Eric Fetty when he's pitching on the road. I know he had a good outing against the Pirates, but that offense has been anemic, kind of like the Astros. But when he's pitching on the road, just in general, dating back to last season, he was really fade material. And, that one start he had in Boston got blown up for 6 earned runs and 3 innings pitched, issued 4 walks. And he's another pitcher that walks are a huge concern for. So if Atlanta can stay patient at the plate, draw those walks, because he's issued 11 walks in his last 3 starts in just 15 innings pitched there, Greg. So that whip is going to be high. So I think that if they're able to stay patient at the plate, those bats can stay hot. We continue betting against Eric Fetty. If you don't want to lay that minus 1.5, plus price with the Braves being that home team, maybe look at a team total, whether it's in the first 5 or full game there. But I think Atlanta could get into a nice groove here and start making their way back up to 500 baseball.
And with the Atlanta Braves, just that start to the season when you have to go on the road against the San Diego Padres and the LA Dodgers, I don't wish that upon anyone, to say the least, which is why you're seeing their record right now. It's a big, giant byproduct of what we've seen from the schedule, and it does feel like these guys who are getting a little bit unlucky, putting barrels to it, and just not getting those balls to be able to fly out, does feel like we're starting to have a little bit of a reversal there. And I know that Munaf as well, you're taking a little bit of a look at what we're going to be getting in terms of the playoff action in the NBA on Monday. We've got 2 games on the board, the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, and the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks. Anything out of these 2 games that you're going to be eyeing up and you're going to be betting on?
Yeah, I liked what I saw from the Knicks, especially in that fourth quarter. It did take them a 21-0 run to pull away in that game. But when I'm looking at these games, I'm looking at these game-to-game adjustments from these coaches. And is Tom Thibodeau a guy that I can trust? I'm not sure, but they have the talent on paper to the New York Knicks there. And again, when it gets to the playoffs, Greg, Madison Square Garden's up there as one of the best, home court advantages in the entire league there. So I do expect a more focused 48-minute effort from the New York Knicks in this game here. I look at the Knicks side to continue winning at home. I would lay the price here with them, with the Knicks. And then for the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, I think under is the way to go. These 2 teams don't play at a very high pace. I know they're efficient offensively, but we saw it, especially in that second half, in game 1 between these 2 teams. It was trending towards the under big time until it did get to overtime, unfortunately, therefore, if you had an under ticket there. But I think this is going to be a series that gets to 7 games. It's going to be one of those slugfests. I'm going to continue riding the under between the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets in game 2.
Yep, they don't call it under time for a reason. That was a little bit rough, but that was a very good call by you, Munaf. And I know you're doing a tremendous job on the basketball front. You do a great work on the baseball front, and always do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg. Have a great night.
Always great to be able to have Munaf aboard. And coming up next, we've got ourselves halftime in terms of this Warriors versus Rockets game. We'll be breaking that down, and we'll get you guys some bets for Monday as well, as we've got everything for Sunday in action. So we'll start to turn it forward a little bit more to Monday on the flip side right here on Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're back here on Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. This will be the final segment for myself before you get Joe Serralo on cashing out. He's going to do a tremendous job there, and now my job is very clear to be able to get you to cashing out hopefully safely, and hopefully you will be cashing out with a few more tickets in hand and a little bit more money in pocket. And we do have to take a look at what we're getting right now in terms of this playoff game between the Warriors and the Houston Rockets. We're at the half right now, 47-34. I did pull the trigger on that live over. I got myself a 190.5. This is down to a 186.5. I just have to think that we're going to see a little bit of a rebound in terms of shooting that we saw in the first half. The Warriors did go 6 of 17 from three-point range. You did see a few made threes from Steph Curry to be able to get things going towards back half of the first half. He had 16 first half points, so he and Jimmy Butler combined 29 of the Warriors' 47 points. And for the Rockets, they were about as cold as an igloo from the outside. They went 2 of 12 from three-point range, 10 turnovers as well. And that's really what's killing this Rockets team right now. I think that they're going to be able to clean things up a little bit more for many of these guys, not named Fred VanVleet, not named as well Dylan Brooks. It's probably their first playoff experience, so that I think is a little bit of something to play here. I think that the offense going to be able to tick up just a little bit more, so I am in on that live over. And if you're currently seeing right around about a 186.5, 187.5, do think that you've got a little bit of value there, because I do think that we're going to see a little bit more out of these two teams moving forward. And what we did see as well is a Vegas Golden Knights goal. It is now 1-0 out there in lovely Las Vegas. They're taking on the Minnesota Wild. The Golden Knights, by the way, closed as Mondo favorites. They closed north of -250 pretty much across the board. And for the Golden Knights, it was Thomas Hertl who was able to get that first goal. That was with about 5 minutes remaining in the first period, and now we still have about 3 minutes remaining in the first period. If you're looking to dive in live on the Golden Knights on the money line or anything like that, you are going to be laying a lot of juice right now. So right now, the Golden Knights are a money line -560 favorite, and that goal total still at a 5.5, much like it was on the close. But now, if you're looking at the over, you're going to be getting that more around about a +124. So we'll be monitoring all that and so much more, and all the Knights baseball action that has gone final. You did see the San Diego Padres on Sunday Night Baseball be able to go on the road. They were able to get the win by a count of 3-2. 17 hits and only 5 runs, so a lot of singles that were going down in this game. Not a lot of scoring chances in general for both of these teams, but for the Houston Astros, it was costly for them, giving up a home run to Mr. Fernando Tatis Jr., who had both a triple and a home run in this one, 8th of the campaign. That came in the 7th inning against Taylor Scott, so he was able to get you to the window there. And then for the Washington Nationals, unable to come through against the Colorado Rockies, 3-1 the final. Antonio Senzatella actually a pretty solid start here for Colorado. They needed him to be able to fill some innings, and he was able to do so. He goes 6 innings, giving up 1 run, and then the bullpen, they were able to do their part, as Brad Lord only made it 4 innings for 2 runs. And I mean, for the Nationals, you had 4 innings out of the bullpen, gave up 1 run at Coors Field. No shame in that, but just a very low-scoring day out there at Coors in general. You saw the first game laying 3-2, game number 2 laying 3-1, so just weren't able to get a lot of offense there, and those are two teams that are not great with regards to their bats, to say the least, as far this season. As for the Colorado Rockies, I believe that they have still scored 4 runs or fewer in all but 2 of their games thus far this season, and that win pushes them up to 4-17. They are right there with the Chicago White Sox in terms of your worst record in all of baseball. So that's what we all saw on the baseball diamond for Sunday. And now we have to turn it forward a little bit more to what we're going to be getting on Monday. And this is all brought to you by G-Bank, as all of our best bets here. They are brought to you by G-Bank. That is the official bank of VSiN. And G-Bank is upping the ante. You're able to get up to a $750 bonus by signing up for a G-Bank Visa signature card. First way is to be able to get a $250 bonus when you sign up within the first 90 days of signing up. If you spend $1,000 in eligible purchases, you'll get that $250 bonus, and then you get a $500 bonus if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within the first 30 days of opening an account. That gives you the potential of a $750 bonus. Apply now over at vsin.com/gbank. That is vsin.com/gbank. This is subject to credit approval, and terms and conditions, they do apply. But how about if we take a look at the Monday baseball card? I've already dove in on a few of these games, but this is one that I've really yet to be able to hit too much of, as you got the Yankees and the Cleveland Guardians with Gavin Williams and Clark Schmidt doing battle right now for the Cleveland Guardians. You're going to be finding them in a lot of places as a very slight underdog. Right now, find them in that neighborhood of even money. You're able to find up to about a +105 with them, and that that total is currently an 8.5, and I'm actually going to be willing to dive in on the under, and I do like the Guardians here on the money line, because with Gavin Williams, he was in my opinion, relatively unlucky pitcher last season. He had an ERA that was well north of a 4.5, but the fielding dependent was about a full point lower. And for Gavin Williams, this guy's relatively good swing and miss stuff. Last year, he was giving you about 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, down just a little bit this year, but I mean, it's a 19 2/3 inning sample size, so I do think that that's going to be picking up just a little bit. And then for Clark Schmidt, first start of the season wasn't great, wasn't terrible for the New York Yankees, and that's a lot of what you could expect of Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt is ever going to be like your ace or anything like that. He's ever going to be like some sort of a complete dud or anything like that. As well, first start of the season, 5 2/3 innings, allows 4 runs, but only 3 of which were earned. His swing and miss stuff was a little bit down in that first start, so that's something that you do want to be taking note of. Dealt with a little bit of ailment and what have you in the offseason. And with the New York Yankees, this is obviously a very fearsome lineup, but they just haven't been the same when they've been away from Yankee Stadium this far this season. As for the New York Yankees, they entered into Sunday actually number 3 in all of baseball in terms of run scoring, but 6.5 runs per game at home, more like 4.5 runs per game away from home. So I guess the bats don't have quite as much magical powers when they leave home. And for Cleveland, it's been not so great conditions out there. For those of you guys out there in the Midwest right now, you know all too well about that. And for the Cleveland Guardians, you've had Stephen Kwan do a really good job of moving the line to begin the season, as I mean, he is hitting well north of a 300 for the team, giving you some relatively solid power. Jose Ramirez is able to do so as well, though Jose Ramirez last 2 weeks, it's been a little bit shaky for him. I think that that's going to be able to rebound. Now you need the guys like Brian Rocchio, Bo Naylor, guys like this at the bottom of the fold to be able to give you a little bit more, but I do think that the Guardians are going to be able to get that in. For the Cleveland Guardians, you just have much more faith in this bullpen than the New York Yankees. For the Yankees, Luke Weaver has been tremendous in that bullpen, but what are you going to get outside of him? Brent Hedrick is actually a guy that I've liked coming out of that bullpen. Getting back Ian Hamilton, I think, should be able to help them out a little bit, but I'm a Milwaukee Brewers fan, and I can tell you New York Yankees fans, yeah, have Devin Williams act up at the wrong time, and we saw that a few nights ago against the Tampa Bay Rays, so that was a little bit of an issue. And I will say for the Cleveland Guardians, Emmanuel Clase, that's a little bit of an issue for them as well, but you saw some of these guys like a Tim Herron, Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith, they're able to come in, they're able to give you a sub-3 ERA, so I do think that they're going to be able to lock this one down. I did set the Guardians as very, very slim favorites, so I do like them on the money line in this spot, and I'm going to be taking a look at the total of an 8.5 under as well. Now, to go back to the game that we're seeing right now in terms of the Rockets and the Golden State Warriors, that third quarter just started up. Like I said, I'm in on that live over of a 190.5 is what I was able to get. At last check, you were able to get that at a 186.5, so all the more value there. Now, I did dive in on the Warriors money line when I was able to get it north of a plus 165, so feeling relatively good about that. I do think that the Warriors should be able to get it done here. If I absolutely had to play something, like right now with the Rockets, you're finding them at a plus 8.5 on the live line. If you can get north of double figures, I think that they could be able to find a little bit of value there, but I do think that the Warriors should be able to find a way to pull this one off, and I do think that the offenses get a little bit warmer there. Don't have anything for you, unfortunately, on the hockey front. I just don't do a lot with regards to hockey. I know that we had Jonathan Davis on a little bit before. He's going to be sweating out this Vegas Golden Knights money line in regulation. I believe they got a minus 125, so good on him for that. So we will see how that progresses. And how about if we take a look at this game out there in Major League Baseball as well? This is the Cincinnati Reds, and yes, Bill Belichick, we're on to Cincinnati playing against the Miami Marlins, with Max Meyer going for the Miami Marlins, and Nick Lodolo, he does go for the Cincinnati Reds. And right now with the Reds, most places have them right around about a minus 130, minus 135, but here at Circa, I am finding them at a minus 122, and I'm going to take that number because with the Cincinnati Reds, for one, that is like 5 cents plus off of market, and I was willing to go up to about a minus 125 on the Cincinnati Reds. I'm a Nick Lodolo believer. He's been a guy that throughout his career has had really good swing and miss stuff. Now, the strikeout numbers are a little bit down this season, but the command is up a little bit thus far this season. I think that he's figuring out just how to be able to pitch effectively at the big league level. For Lodolo, he's only been able to get 14 strikeouts in 23 and a third innings, but he's also given up just 2 walks in those 23 plus innings as well. He is given up the deep ball a little bit. He's given up 3 home runs in 23 and a third innings, but all in all has been able to do a rock solid job there. And for Max Meyer, he's been able to figure it out at the big league level as well. Has always been a guy that I've been relatively bullish on at the minor league level, but has ever put it together necessarily at the big league level. And I will say for Miami, if you take a look at their home games since the beginning of the 2024 season, darn near about 68% of them are going over the total. Now, we're starting to see a lot of totals that are in that neighborhood of about a 8, or you're seeing pretty much a smattering of 7.5 to an 8 out there. I set my total more on a 7.8. I would rather have a 7.5 over rather than an 8 under, just because we have seen things be very overwhelming out there in Miami, and I just don't have a lot of faith in that bullpen whatsoever. I do think that for the Reds, they're starting to find their offense just a little bit more. Terry Francona is a coach that knows what he's doing, and they're coming off of the 24-run smackdown of the Baltimore Orioles as well. So you do love to see that. What else you love to see is cashing out with Joe Sorrell. That's going to be coming your way next. And then to start off the AM on Monday, you're getting VSiN by the books. It's all right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is your before and after story. Instead of imagining a rewarding career in medical imaging, Southeastern College can actually take you there. Prepare for a career in ultrasound, radiology, and X-ray technology. With hands-on specialized training, simulations, and real-life experience with the latest imaging technology, you'll be ready to play a vital role on any healthcare team. Transform your life by helping others. Southeastern College. Your future is bright. Visit scc.edu to get started.